I can confirm the sun came up today in Cincinnati. I can confirm that all is not lost with your Cincinnati Bengals.
You sure about that?
No, but I can confirm it. Welcome to the Flying Pigskin with Tanya O'Rourke. I'm Ken Broo. We got a lot to get to today in light of last night's loss. Couple of things, bookkeeping off the top. Get the WCPO.com app.
It's a whole lot easier to watch us.
It is, and there's such good stuff in this in this app. It's really and truly something you have to have. Also, we stream this live every Monday, except when the Bengals play on Monday, so that's why we're here on Tuesday.
So basically, the day after the Bengals game.
Right, day after the Bengal game
or
at 1
Monday.
o'clock, live on WCPO.com. And then, you know, it's always available 24/7 on WCPO.com, too. And we have a podcast up of this, so if you don't want to look at us, you just want to listen to us, it's on iTunes.
I would opt for the podcast.
No, I wouldn't.
I would.
If they stop looking at us, we're all in trouble, aren't we?
That's a good point. Good point. Good point.
Big show coming up. Mr. Satin was out and about last night. He's going to stop by. The Real McCoy is in. You know what he's going to say about Andy Dalton.
Oh, my gosh, I saw him in the hallway.
Yeah, and we've got the Arizona Cardinals coming up on Sunday night.
Tough game.
We're going to be joined by one of the reporters at our Scripps station in Phoenix, KNXB. His name is Craig Fooey. He's going to join us a little bit later on in the show. But first, we're joined by Bengal all-time leading scorer and still one of the guys that is revered here in this town, regardless how many years it's been.
That's right.
Jim Breach. Jim, welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Can this in any way, shape, or form, this game last night, compare to when you guys played in New England in 1988, and it was viewed merely then as a stumble and not a defining moment? Can we draw that analogy today?
Well, it turned out that way, didn't it?
It did.
Turned out to be a stumble. Yeah, yes, I'm going to go with that. Yes, it could. There are similarities. I mean, excuse me, you have a team with a losing record coming in, or we went to their place, and I think sometimes you may overlook them. They just couldn't get any rhythm going last night for whatever reason.
Going undefeated in the NFL is not normal. I mean, it is not normal. And everybody seems to be kind of losing their minds over one loss, but we should lose a game. I mean, everyone should lose at least one game. And sometimes you think when there's so much pressure to, get to 9-0 and all that stuff. Do you think this helps in some way, this team? Maybe it refocuses them?
Probably to a certain extent. I think you're focused. Every game is kind of its individual thing. It's not like you look at 16 and you come up with a record like I did earlier in the year, try to figure out where they're going to be. Yeah, they lost. They've got a tough one this week. Yes, they have to refocus. You have to learn from the things that you did wrong. And like in Pittsburgh, though, they learned from things they did wrong, but they also did it while winning. And last night, there's a very good chance that they could have won the game at the end there. Unfortunately, the guy made a good play on A.J. Green.
I'm of the opinion that the Texans are going to win the AFC South. I think
Which is not a hard task.
No, the Colts are going to struggle. They don't have luck. I think the coach really and truly derailed this thing greatly early in the season by yanking Hoyer and putting Ryan Mallett in. So I think that might have a lot to do with the fact that they don't have that good of a record. Jim, they can't run the ball, but they play good defense. Hoyer's a good quarterback. They have at least two good wide receivers. This isn't some stumble-bum team that they lost to last night. And I think the Texans defensively played the Bengals as well as anybody I've played this year. I just think, like you said, they couldn't find a rhythm, but I think a large reason is because of the Texans' defense.
I would agree with that. I would agree, and to your point, I think you make some very good points. Anytime you play really good defense, you have a chance to be in games, and both teams played really well on defense last night, so that's why the outcome was such a low-scoring game. I would not be surprised if Houston win the division. I know they were expected to do much better than they have so far this year, so it wouldn't be surprising at all. And T.J. Yates, I mean, if he played against the Bengals every week, he'd probably be
he likes
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Jim, don't you think they kind of shot themselves in the foot too much last night? They had a lot of penalties. Huber had a bad game. They dropped 5 or 10 passes. which several of them could have changed the outcome drastically. But it just has that feeling so many people are worried about with this team is the prime time, heavy focus, and it just seemed like all across the board on so many facets, they just were making silly mistakes. And hopefully it's just a one-game thing, but the defense that the Texans played was good, but they should have had way more points than they had, even with the good defense.
Well, I agree. They should have moved the ball much better than they did. Eifert obviously struggled. They had opportunities, and they did shoot themselves in the foot. And they've got to get away from these procedure penalties. This is crazy. Their field position they were leading the league in starting drives in the other team's territory, and that didn't happen last night. So that was a little bit change of pace. So yeah, now I don't know about you, but it seems to me when they come off of long layoffs, whether it be a bye,
I
in this case they had the Thursday game, they don't seem to have a good rhythm. They seem to have procedure issues. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's me, but for whatever reason, they don't seem to play as well. I don't care if it's Sunday night or what it might be.
All right, we've got Arizona this week.
Yeah.
That's a road game. It's another night game. I watch Arizona a lot because of the 4 o'clock kicks, Jim. Carson Palmer is Carson Palmer. He does have a nice set of receivers to throw to. This team can score points. I'm wondering what, other than Palmer and their ability to score points, would be a red flag for you in this game on Sunday night.
Their defense also is number 3 in the league.
Wow.
So, but they have lost 2 games, so there's obviously an ability to beat them. But the Bengals are now the number 1 defense against scoring, so that'll be kind of interesting because they're number 2 in offense in scoring. So something I have to give.
Right, Jim. It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
Bye, Jim.
Yes, sir. Jim Breach. How about this dust-up J.J. Watt at Andy Dalton after the game last night?
All right.
What was your take on that?
I got to say, when I saw J.J. Watt say that live, and so did the reporter asking the question, I went, it took, why would you do that? Why would you say that? And everyone loves J.J. Watt. What a great guy. What a great guy. I wish Andy Dalton might have just said, yeah, whatever. He can say whatever he wants to say. On the other hand, I kind of like that he got a little fired up about it. I don't know. I'm struggling with that one a little bit. Why? I don't know.
Here's what happened. After the game, Lisa Salter from ABC interviewed J.J. Watt on the field. And Watt's comment to her was, and this is the quote, "Our goal was to come out here and make the Red Rifle look like a Red Ryder BB gun, and I think we did that." He went on to say he's a great player, and they're a great team, but our coaches put together a great game plan. We executed the game plan. Everybody did their job. Now, before we go on to what Dalton said in response to this, I thought it was juvenile, but it's the stuff you hear all the time in sports anymore. Everybody thinks these players are these erudite 40-year-old men that just have lived life and know what to say. No. They're not. They're basically kids.
They're 25.
Yeah. And so I didn't think, when I heard
Lisa Salter went,
I heard that, yeah. I heard that.
Know.
And that's when he qualified it by saying he was a good player. But honestly, I mean, it's like, let's face facts here. J.J. Watt has Andy Dalton's number. J.J. Watt and the Houston Texans have been a thorn in the side of the Bengals. So, I mean, it's kind of like, to me, it wasn't unexpected, was it?
Not unexpected that he would say that. I'll say this. I mean, when they kept showing that camera angle with him lined up behind center or right across from Andy Dalton, and I thought, man, if that dude was looking at me, I'd just lay down.
I know.
Just don't hit me.
I know.
He's so big. I don't know. I did not like that he said it, but I think you're right. These kids are kids. And they should, I don't know, we should just, all with a grain of salt, and it's just sport.
Now, here's what Dalton said in response to it, okay, because I think this is interesting. It's disappointing for one of the best players in the league to come out and say something like that, so that's all I'm going to say about it. But then he continued, he's a good player, but for him to be one of the best in the league and to show that integrity, I think he meant lack of integrity, it shows what he's about, and that's disappointing. All right, if I'm Andy Dalton, and again, Andy Dalton is in his mid-20s, and he's a kid, all right? Most of these players, honestly, are kids. They are. Mm-hmm. What I say, J.J. Watt is a great player, and you know what? He's been a real thorn in my side lately, but you know what? They played well tonight, and that's J.J. being J.J.
Right.
Boom, that's
Done.
it. That, you know what, that guy then zooms back to the top in everybody's opinion, but now it looks like he's, it's into this, you said this about me, I'm saying this about you,
Right, and a lot of people are apparently taking Andy Dalton on for this, saying, oh, what a whiner kind of thing. Oh, really? I mean, what would you do if someone said those things about you? You just had a terrible loss. Going back to the whole,
when you lose, you can't say anything.
You're right.
I'm just saying he has to take that, and he has to just say the next time, if we get a next time, that we got to deal with him and we got to beat him. It's just like when Bill Cowher, when they beat us in the playoffs, said we day, and you can't say anything to him because they went on and won the Super Bowl, and they did.
But the deal, I think.
I mean, it is juvenile, but that's the way it is, and that's when you play sports. It's all about I'm better than you.
And all he had to say was like, "That's JJB and JJ. Hey, we're 8-1. We didn't play well tonight. They've got a great team. We're on to the Cardinals."
Just roll right past it. But he was clear. I mean, I think what it shows is that Andy Dalton was really rattled by this. Not just the red BB gun comment, but the whole, we played badly. I mean, he obviously, I think, it seems to me.
Yes, I agree.
That he was shaken more than he would like to admit.
Yeah, and I'm hearing he got caught off guard by the question. You shouldn't get caught off guard in anything in a press conference situation. I mean, I know sometimes it happens to politicians and people like that, but honestly, you got to expect. He probably said, I would have said, now again, I'm infinitely older than Andy Dalton, but I would have said.
Not infinitely.
No, I'm infinitely older than Andy Dalton. I would have said, really, you said that? Oh, that's JB and JJ. And boom, it's gone.
Who cares?
Right.
Let him say what he wants.
Mr. Satin, who says whatever he wants and does whatever he wants.
Does.
Yes, he is our ambassador to the fans, and we'd like to bring him in right now. Satin, where are you today?
Hey, what's happening?
Good.
We are down here at Taste of Belgium in Clifton trying to shake it off.
You got an account there? That's the second time in 3 weeks.
It's a kickback in the winking, isn't it?
Yeah, hey, they treat me all right here, even after loss. So it's good to know people and to have an expense account.
That's good.
I'm
glad you have an expense account. Do you? No.
No, I do, but it's at home.
Mr.
It's greatly regulated, let me tell you that.
Yeah, I bet it is. 16-0, not going to happen for the Bengals this year, as you predicted. I'm so sorry to tell you.
You know what? Hey, things happen. Last night I was devastated. This morning I was devastated. I grabbed the mic. Hey, I'm not so devastated. We got another game next week. We're still in first place. We got a lot of football left.
Satin, you were out among the Vox Populi last night. Yes, and he's prepared a video.
Oh.
Yes,
a video. Mr. Satin out among the tailgating last night. A little bit of tailgating too early in these primetime games, apparently.
Yeah, I was really excited, but you know what? I got there a little too early, and you guys, it will show.
Okay, well, let's take a look at Mr. Satin last night among the crowd, or lack thereof, and Monday Night Football.
What's happening? This is Mr. Satin with the Flying Pigskin. We're down here bright and early for a Bengals primetime showdown. Let's go check out some tailgate.
Satin, are you trying to tell us that you don't have any friends?
Sometimes you get a little too early to the party.
I like that you did a little Icky shuffle there, by the way.
Yeah, you got to get ready. You never know if you're going to run into Icky. I thought maybe he'd be out amongst the people last night. Later I saw him this morning on TV, but hey, you never know who you're going to run into.
Well, Satin, I think it speaks well to Cincinnati that people were actually working
They had
and probably
jobs.
couldn't get there. I think that speaks well to us.
No, I think it was just a traffic jam. I don't know if you've been lately.
Were all the interstates shut down at that point?
Yeah, I think every lane merged into nothing.
So we're going 15-1 now, right?
Hey, why not? 15-1. What is it? 19-1. That sounds good too.
19-1 sounds fine to me. What you eating there, by the way? You got any chicken waffles?
Right now we're shaking it off right now with a little espresso, a little coffee right now, and we got a little cream over here too. So we're waiting for the belly to activate to that before we put anything else in it.
Have you just woken? I mean, it's 1 in the afternoon.
Rumor has it.
I believe it.
He belongs to the Crack of Noon Club.
Yeah.
Mr. Satin, we didn't think that you were ever going to be the kind of guy who was at the party too early, and usually the party comes with you, and I think you top it off, don't you? What's going on there?
Here's the thing: when you start calling things like 16-0, to 5-0, get to 6-0, things start building. So you get more excited. So you get there early,
Right?
And then you wait for everybody else to catch up.
I'm with you. Okay.
I'm back to life now, right?
Mr. Sutton, I thought maybe that was a situation like, when a pitcher's got a no-hitter going, no one wants to go near him, and maybe they were just trying to protect the 16-0.
See, Mike knows.
Nice going, Mike.
He's butting the baseball angle.
Mike Cannon, who runs WCPO.com. Well, Satin, good seeing you, man. Thanks for stopping by today.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks again.
All right, have a good time down there with the chicken and waffle.
You bet. Who day, all day.
All day
All
long.
day, all day. We should introduce the back bench here. Can we do that?
Yeah, we haven't done that yet.
Haven't done that yet.
Well,
Do you want to show them?
hang that for a second.
Oh my gosh, look what has arrived.
sorry, my bad.
That's all right.
Mike isn't listening back here. There's 2 mics. There's 3
right.
mics. We got
There we
mics
go.
There you
everywhere.
go.
Yeah,
So there's Brian Neese on the left, Mike Stropman on the right, and in the middle, of course, is the brains of the operation,
Oh,
Matt
dear.
Luke.
We're
Good to
doomed.
see
You
you.
keep saying that, and
Dude.
that's not helping my
I know.
stature.
That's
okay.
all right. To the far left of them, we have the lovely and talented Libby Duber, and photobomb the shot there, Libby. Oh, there you go. Okay, and Mike Cannon, the previously mentioned
Our
curator,
boss, essentially.
purveyor of WCPO.com. Now, let's bring in the
The
man
most
who.
negative man on the planet.
The man who keeps WCPO on the air. This is the Real McCoy. And what? So 1 loss, and you've gone to Kroger.
What is
Can I
happening?
say it?
Yeah. Andy Dalton.
He sucks for real deal.
He does not.
The real deal. Next to Holyfield, he sucks.
If Tyler Eifert made 1 or 2 catches.
You want some wine with that cheese?
I don't think I'm the one whining.
We're prepared to counter you on this, but go ahead.
Okay. Now here's the deal. When Andy Dalton goes on the road and beats a team on the road, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He comes home, plays at home, and he loses to a 3-5 team
All right.
that has a halfway decent offense.
Right.
Quarterback played in his first NFL game. Am I right or wrong?
No, that was
Wait,
not.
he had played-
explain
He's
to
had
me.
many, he had many.
Is he a rookie or is he a
No,
veteran?
he's not
No,
a
we beat the
rookie?
Bengals like 3 times, like 4 years ago.
Okay, so where was
What
he?
was that? Was that on back? Was that
wait,
bag
why do you
on
have a
backwards
bag?
last
It
night?
might be, but let's stop making
Why are
these
you hiding
excuses.
today?
Because I can. The IRS is looking for me.
Okay, let me just go with this. Okay, McCoy.
Real McCoy, get it right.
All right, AJ Green was thrown to 7 times.
Yeah.
5 completions, but he was only thrown to 2 times after the half.
Correct.
They clamped down on him.
Right.
Eifert was thrown to 7 times.
How many catches?
He dropped. He dropped
dropped
at
3
least
of them.
3.
He dropped 3.
So Dalton can't throw and catch.
And let me tell you.
But hold up
those-
now.
Those
A
throws
lot of
were
that
pretty
stuff was
good.
overthrown too. Correct?
No.
Those go routes,
Eifert
Hit Eifert in the hand.
the
There
go
was
routes,
maybe
he was
right.
one to
overthrowing
Eifert
those
that was
balls.
not.
See, that's what I'm
He's
saying.
right.
You
Well,
guys,
He
there were
threw on
several
the money.
passes that should have been caught,
Yeah.
Right.
but there were several passes he threw a bad pass and
Yeah.
guys were open.
But
Mike's
that
right
one,
on that. And
but
that's nitpicking, but he had a lot of terrible throws
Yes,
when
Brian.
guys were open.
But Eifert got hit in the hands a few times. I think
the
Eifert.
chest.
I think Eifert owes the real McCoy some money, and that's why he was dropping those passes. I think he's in the hole to McCoy. And,
It looked like it.
McCoy's been shaking. You shaking down Tyler Eifert to get some
I
losses?
could be, but
Get a
no.
little-
Let's get serious here. Let's get serious
How are we
here.
gonna get
Guy with the
serious
bag
with
on
you?
his head is saying, "Let's get serious."
You know, it's like the Bengals gonna have to keep winning because they're playing now for home field advantage. Okay, they don't want to go on the road their first game. They want to be at home. They want the crowd behind them. But what gets me about people in Cincinnati, when you got something good and as soon as it goes bad, you're up in the stands booing.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I hate about the fans in Cincinnati.
I agree.
If you're going to be a fair weather fan like me, be a fair weather fan. But if you're a real Bengal fan, like it's one person in this building that I know is a true Bengal fan, and I just got to give him credit, is Mike Strott. No, that's the truth. Because he leads and breathes the Bengals, and I give him credit.
Yeah, Brian, I'm with you. You're there too. I feel like I bleed very much orange here.
I walk in this building and I stand up for the Bengals every day when I see you.
Okay, but what I'm saying,
there's a lot of people who do.
At the stadium, the people was booing and all that. Come on, people, what do you expect? They wasn't gonna go 19-0, okay? It's good to get a loss in here so they can really find themselves. Now, I'm just talking the way I look at football. And by the way, all you people out there that are watching, send in your tweets, your chatters, or whatever, because we need to get this out there. But anyway, back to what I was saying.
Let's get back to that.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I digress.
I'm sorry.
We've derailed. Go ahead.
You keep on derailing. Now, see, I didn't really forget what I had to say. But the whole deal is, the Bengals are I'm serious, they're a good team. But I want to see if they can take this goodness to a great team, okay? By the playoffs coming up right now and that sort of thing, just keep winning, and then we can really judge them when they make the playoffs and if they win a first game in the playoffs.
Let's get real here, okay? You're talking about not playing a home game for the first round of the playoffs. Yep. There's no way they're not going to finish any worse than the third seed. You can just look at the standings. They're not going to finish any worse than the third seed, which means they have a home playoff game. What they should be playing for, and what they're still, if I'm not mistaken, is that second seed.
Okay, but what happens if the two wheels falls off the cart and they go on a 4-game losing streak?
Look, it is entirely.
That's why they play the game.
I'm going to give you this. It is possible they lose this weekend.
There's no possible they are going to lose.
It's possible that the sun explodes and it eats up the earth, and none of us are here tomorrow.
Thank you.
There's no Super Bowl.
I think it's entirely possible they lose to Pittsburgh at home because that's just the way this stuff happens. It's possible they're 13-3 by the end of this. Maybe 12-4, but the wheels are not going to fall off.
You're just like this little dip I got upstairs. She seen me this morning, Brooke. Brooke.
What?
Brooke. Well, it's a little dip that works upstairs. She's like, oh, I want $5 of that bet you trying to get Stratman all that money because the Bengals are going to do this and Bengals are going to do that. I'm like, honey, listen. The Bengals go the way the Red Ryder BB gun goes.
I want to get back to something that we just touched on. Because it's bothering me right now. Brian, do you think the sun is going to explode at some point?
At some point, yeah, absolutely it will.
He's kind of intellectual. Maybe he knows something we don't know.
Well, that's it. I mean, anybody that has a beard like that is one of two things. He's like bad personal hygiene or really smart. And I think you're really smart.
Or works for like Matt.
Little column B. Little column A, little column B. It will someday. I mean, billions of years from now. But it could happen tomorrow.
Tanya,
I don't know.
Tanya, you should take that back to the newsroom. It could be a new lead for the Now.
Yeah, the sun's going
I just want to say, to keep it
Please
3 billion years from now, yeah, it will. Eventually.
Will the Bengals win a Super Bowl before the sun explodes?
Well, that's a good question. Okay. We got 3 billion years.
Wait.
Mike Brown.
Real McCoy still talking.
McCoy's got a last point.
Okay, how come I'm really not hearing also that coaching was a factor in this? Hugh normally has a good game plan for Dalton to throw the ball and that sort of thing. I think coaching had a lot to do with that game.
Absolutely.
I thought the way they started that game, it looked like an Arena League team. It almost looked like Hugh Jackson.
Like they weren't taking him seriously.
Right. It looked like Jackson was auditioning for a head coach's job. I agree
which
with
he's
you on
going to
that.
get one. So
yeah, but I mean, it looked that way. Let's put a
Exactly.
tackle here. That it looked silly.
I felt like it sent a message to the Texans like, okay, we're just doing a practice, and we're glad that you came along to give us some.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, but those first 4 screen passes or 3 screen passes in the first offensive series were successful. successful. They got 4 or 5 yards on each one, and it was like,
And then never did
make
it
them
again.
stop you. Then they didn't do the play. Well, they did one more time, and
Wait,
Bernard
yep.
dropped the ball or something.
And what
Yeah,
happened?
you do seem like you have to establish that for a reason, not to just show it for 3 plays and then give up.
And what happened to the run game? We had a
That's
total
what I'm
between
saying,
Jeremy Hill and Gio
Yeah.
Bernard, 17 attempts or
Yeah.
15 attempts.
I
15
think
attempts.
if you're going to be a great
For-
team
for 50 yards?
you have to run the ball if
You
you're
have
going
to
to win
run
the
the
Super
ball.
Bowl.
And
Well,
that's
they
why
kept
they couldn't
getting
get the
those.
pass game going.
They
because you
kept
couldn't
getting
run the
those
ball.
first down penalties, those motion
Yeah.
penalties,
Yeah.
and offsides, and it's
And then
really-
Eifert would drop a ball, and then you'd be at 3rd down.
Right.
And then Huber would have a 30-yard punt.
Yeah, what was that? What's up with Huber? Does
Well,
anyone
he's a
know?
great punter. You can't.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
there were so many people that had a bad game last night.
There was.
Like Eifert. Eifert's great most of the time. Huber's great most of the time. But they both had terrible games last night.
It's the real McCoy, ladies and gentlemen. Next week he will not have the bag on his head. It's good to see you.
I still don't know why you have a bag on your head. This is awkward in so many
All right.
ways.
Now we're going to bring in one of our new aspects of the show.
Well,
in
we had
You have a new
we had a
thing?
fan
The
contact
real.
me on Twitter.
No.
Yes.
Someone's
a real fan.
watching us and
real
talking
fan.
to us on Twitter. I love that.
Tanner Myers, he wanted to weigh in on last night's game. So without further ado, and he's got Skype. Tanner,
no, he
where are
doesn't just
you?
have Skype.
Well,
this
where-
is a nice-looking Skype.
Where are you in the Tri-State, if anywhere?
Decorated.
What part of town?
I am up in Fairfield right now.
I love
My
Fairfield.
beautiful house in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's this gloomy, rainy day to wash out the loss of the Bengals.
Yes.
But you're not getting feedback, are you?
Nope.
No, we
you're,
get
you're
no
great.
feedback
You're great.
on the show.
Tanner,
Yeah.
you're awesome.
You know, last night hurt me. I felt like crying. I was laying on the floor last night as soon as the game was over, and it was horrible.
It was.
But, you know, when we look at it, it's 1 game out of 8. Like you guys have said, we're 8-1. We're fired up. We're ready to go. And hopefully this loss can be, you know, a swift kick, and we'll get back in gear on the road in Arizona.
Tanner, I've asked this question. I asked of Jim Breach earlier. I'll ask you. Do you think it's kind of good, glass half full, that we lose a game to kind of, you know, redirect, refocus, make that desire?
Absolutely. I mean, when we're playing like we did last night, we stand no chance. I honestly think that the main factor to the loss last night was Andy Dalton's overconfidence. He came out with this look in his eye. He came out ready to play, and during the entire game, he had this smile on his face as if they're going to turn around and get it in the last second, which, you know, we all know that didn't happen with the fumble by Green, but Andy Dalton was way too overconfident. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that that was primetime Dalton by any means. I don't think it was. I think he has honestly gone away, but that, I mean, his confidence was way too high. So I think this is a very good, humble check to him.
What did you make? I know you're a big fan, Tanner. What did you make of these people booing a team that's 8-0 in the middle of the second quarter? I'm listening to this, and I'm saying to myself, what's wrong with you people? This team is 8-0, and they played so well. And okay,
They don't deserve that.
it's almost like the people booing. It's like they never had an off night, or they never had a bad day at the office. I'm wondering, from a fan's perspective, how you feel about that.
You know, from a fan's perspective, I am a diehard Bengals fan, so I would never boo, you know, in the stadium. When we're out there in the stadium, in the stands, trying to give support, you know, you just don't do that. If anything, you try and cheer them up. And I mean, I've been to several games this season, and always on the sideline is long snapper Clark Harris, and he's always pumping up the crowd. He's always getting everybody fired up. And, you know, I don't know if he wasn't doing that or what, but you never boo your team. You always show support.
I just found it astounding, Tanya, that they had an 8-0 record, and they were less than a half into this game, and there are people booing.
My 16-year-old and I were watching the game together last night, and we were both stunned that they were sitting there getting booed. Honestly, like, this is a great team, and they're getting booed at home, and it's just embarrassing to me personally. Now, I want to know, Tanner, we're going out to Arizona. We get to play at night. Not the West Coast, but almost the West Coast, against Carson Palmer. We would all like to see us beat Carson Palmer for many reasons as Bengal fans, and I'm sure he'd like to beat the Bengals. What do you think? What do you honestly think? What kind of team are we sending out to Arizona?
My opinion is, I think we were too prepared last night for this upcoming game.
You thought we overlooked them.
A trap game.
Yeah.
I think everybody is over-focused. The whole team in general is over-focused on getting ready for Carson Palmer, treating him as if he's the traitor, the enemy, which, yeah, he is. He's terrible. I was one of those that was up in the stands that was booing him, saying, get rid of the guy. I couldn't stand him. So I hope that we go out on Sunday and we just dominate, absolutely run through him. Let's put perfect on him. Let's see what happens. I think that we're going to send out a good team, amped up, especially coming out of this loss on Monday night to go to that Sunday night game. I think that if anything, they're going to want to turn around and portray themselves as the team that can climb out of that one-game hole.
Tanner, you're obviously a big Bengal fan, and I am too. I've been that way my whole life, and I support them when I go down to the games. But last night, I still feel that this team has done everything that the last few seasons, they've done everything they need to do but win a playoff game. And last night just put that doubt back in the back of my mind that this could be the same. That last night seemed just like the playoff performances they've given in the last few years. And every time I see a game like that, I think, there it is. I just don't want to see that. I would have much rather we lost 31-28 and it was a rip-roaring game. That last night was terrible. Nobody played well, and it brings that doubt in the back of my mind. I can't get rid of it. I wish I didn't have it, and I still support him, and I wasn't booing, but I still think about that all the time.
See, I think, looking at last night's game, yeah, it was terrible. It was horrific. I mean, borderline, I'm sitting here thinking, did Eifert have money on the Texans in Vegas or something? It was that bad. I mean, and Eifert, when they're commentating and they're saying, and you can see it, a beautiful throw by Andy Dalton, absolutely beautiful. Why did Eifert drop the ball? Why did he not get his hands on that and catch it? I mean, that's ridiculous. You cannot do that in a game. I think that we vastly underestimated the Texans coming into this. The spread closed at 10 points. I had this gut feeling saying, it's going to be closer than that. I think we vastly underestimated them, and the entire team. Well, I want to say this: the offense. The defense played great, but the offense, they walked in as if they had already won, and you cannot do that, especially with J.J. Watt sitting there, just waiting to chew up Dalton.
Hey, Tanner, thanks for joining us. Tanner Myers, and he wanted to get on. He's a fan. If you're a fan, you want to appear on this show, just send us a tweet, send us an email. Tanner, thank you so much. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Skype.
Yeah, good deal. Let's take a look at the AFC North standings after last night. You got the Bengals at 8-1. Pittsburgh is at 6-4. Pittsburgh is going to make the playoffs.
Of course, they're going to make the playoffs,
team.
and it's just they always come on strong at the end, don't they?
So there you go.
For them to be 6-4 with all the things that have gone on with their team, that's sort of amazing. They've lost what most people think is the best running back in the AFC.
Yeah.
They have one of the best quarterbacks. He's been out for several, and what Roethlisberger did the other day was ridiculous. I mean, they didn't even think he was going to play. He set a record for the most passing yards by a guy who didn't start. I know, but he set a record. He wasn't even supposed to play, and he set a record for the most passing yards by a guy who didn't start a game.
He was the Browns.
It was, but Manziel threw the ball well too. So the Browns are going to start Manziel the rest of the year.
Yeah, well, they should.
But there you go. Pittsburgh will make the playoffs. They'll be a 5 or 6 seed. And I would not be surprised if they play the Bengals.
Of course they're going to play the Bengals. I mean, that's just the way it's going to happen.
If the Bengals wind up as the 3rd seed, they're going to play Pittsburgh.
Wrong,
you know it's going to happen.
I'm afraid of them. I don't even feel good. I don't even feel good about the division because we got to still play them. If they win that game, then we really have to play well in the rest of the game.
Yeah.
If they go 4-3, we were talking about how many do they need to do. If they lose the Pittsburgh game, they have to win. There's 7 games. If they lose that, the other 6, they got to go 4-2 at least.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't just stumble in and lose to Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh, I think, is going to come on strong.
Oh, they always do. It didn't make me crazy.
Jaguars beat the Ravens 22-20. The game was only won because the officials blew a call.
Yeah.
They said that they missed an alignment call on Jacksonville, which would have won the game. Instead, Jacksonville's got this last-minute desperation play. Elvis Dumerville grabs the guy's face mask. It's amazing just how many calls are missed in these. If you watch these games, it's amazing how many calls are missed. It really is.
It really feels worse this year. And let me just say one more thing, because all those Bengals fans who are freaking out there that we've lost one game, the Bengals have lost one game, New England nearly lost this past
Right.
weekend. I mean, everyone's going to lose.
Yeah, but did you watch that game?
Yeah.
That game makes you think exactly what you always think about New England, is they win all the time.
Yeah.
They do.
At the end of that game, it was even 4th down, and it was just like they were, don't worry
It's
about
like
it.
they're
we got
paying
it.
the Pope to pray for them. Or
And
something.
first of all, one thing I love about them, which the Bengals do not have and will not with the administration that they have, they understand how to manage the clock.
Yeah.
They call the
you know what?
timeouts before the 2-minute warning, so they don't waste 30 seconds.
Well, and the
know.
difference too is New England was playing the Giants versus playing the Texans, and the
Right.
Giants have totally owned the Patriots over
Right.
the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, the Giants have had a bunch of games like that this year, though, where they've lost it at the end and they didn't.
And I'll say this.
Giants gave them that game.
Yeah.
I think, all due respect to Antonio Brown and A.J. Green and all these guys, I think the best wide receiver in the game is
Beckham.
Gronkowski.
Oh,
he
tight end.
is a money wide receiver. He really is. And Eifert can be him someday, but he's not him on this day. Gronkowski is the best
Eifert-
wide receiver in the league.
I heard one
he's
of
a
the
tight end.
commentators saying it last night. I think Eifert was trying to do too much. I just think he was looking past the catch.
Yeah,
One of those
He did
catches
that on
he
a couple of
definitely-
them,
He
yeah.
had his head turned. Was
their
looking to run.
secondary is really good, though. I mean, Joseph
Yeah, they
and
were
Johnson.
on him. I mean,
and they-
Joseph's been good all
And they got Demps off the street like a month ago, and
Yeah.
he played well. I mean, I just think their
They
their
do have a good
secondary
defense,
just
but-
kind of did things that the Bengals weren't used to seeing.
Those balls Eifert dropped got to him cleanly, though, and he wasn't
Amen.
molested. He wasn't
I
molested
agree.
on several of them, but yeah.
So it's out to Arizona this. You're going to Arizona, right?
I may, after the loss, I don't know, but yeah, I think I am.
Well, that's good.
I am. I'm headed to Arizona on Saturday. We'll be reporting. If you are a fan going to Arizona, please hit me up. I want to tell your story. I want to shoot you there. Not, like shoot video, but talk to you. Oh my goodness.
Right.
Record
you
you
It's been a
on
long day
camera.
already.
You want
Yeah.
to interview Bengal fans that are
Thank
going
you.
to Arizona.
I do.
And there's probably a lot of Bengal fans in Arizona, but somebody
Yeah.
that would know that better than us would be a guy who lives in Arizona and works in Arizona and works for the Scripps station in Arizona. He's Craig Fooey from KNXV
Hey, Craig.
in Phoenix, the ABC affiliate. Hello, Craig.
How are you guys doing today?
Nice Emmys back there, by the way.
Yeah, are those yours?
Yeah, well, we got a couple of them, yeah.
Nice.
Been fortunate. I didn't do that on purpose. I apologize.
Oh, I would have.
Don't have to
Totally.
apologize.
You can
for
toot your own
Wow.
horn, Craig. Okay, if we had
We're
one,
okay
we'd
with
have.
that.
If we had awards, we'd put them up on the wall. We just haven't got any, so we understand completely.
So I'm looking at Carson Palmer lately, and it's kind of like turn back the clock. This is what he looked like
Yeah.
when he first got here, and certainly in 2005. This guy has blown out 2 knees. He's had quite an odyssey since he's left here. What's going on with him? Why is he playing so well?
You know what? He seems to be more mature than he's been in his entire career. He's settled in. He knows where he's at. When Bruce Arians came in here a couple, 3 years ago, he brought Carson in the spring, and he said, you know what? Carson and I are going to go out in the sunset. He said, it's perfect. We're in the desert. We should be riding horses with cowboy hats. But this is going to be our last hurrah for both of us, so we're going to just make the best of it.
Well, that makes me sad. As a Bengals fan, actually. They worry me, honestly. The Cardinals, we're going out west to play with a short time frame. What should the Bengals be looking to do to win?
Well, that's going to be a tough one. University of Phoenix Stadium is a difficult place to play. And the Cardinals are coming off that win Sunday night up in Seattle, another really tough place to play. The good news for the Bengals is it's going to be about 80 degrees this weekend, so they're going to enjoy a little golf maybe on Sunday
Yeah.
morning. Just kidding.
So you think slam dunk, Cardinals win this?
No, I don't. Listen, here's the thing that scares us out here is the Cardinals are 7-2. They've beaten one team with a winning record, and that's the Steelers. And they didn't have a winning record.
And
when
we
the Cardinals
appreciate
went
that,
back.
by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No, but they've only played one team with a winning record. That's one of their losses. So,
okay.
You've got a really tough situation. The Cardinals' wins are over teams that just don't have winning records. So you're bringing the Bengals in that are a very good football team.
You could kind of say the same thing about the Bengals, though. They have,
Well, that's probably true. But this is going to be a great showdown. I think this will be. Listen, I talked to Carson last week about this when I just said, let's look ahead a week. You've got Cincinnati coming in. And he said, you know what? That's so long ago in my past.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm not even thinking about that anymore.
You mentioned that the Cardinals have only beaten one team with a winning record. Same here. The Bengals haven't beaten anyone. You know why, Craig? And I think if you just look around the league, there is a lot of mediocrity.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of teams that roll in that might be 3-5 when they play you and wind up 5-5. But I think you always have 5 great teams, and you always have 5 teams that are awful, and then there's that great swath of 22 that could be 6-10 or 10-6. I think this year especially, that great swath is really mediocre to
it's
bad.
at that lower end.
So nobody is beating anyone with a great record until you actually play each other, which is what's going to happen this Sunday.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right, Ken. It's been such a mediocre league this year with so many teams. Look at that AFC South. I mean, they're just horrible, you know, and somebody's going to get into the playoffs with a losing record, and that's just ridiculous. And of course, out here, the Cardinals are still trying to prove they're the best team in the West, and you know, that goes through Seattle every year out here. So they got one win against the Seahawks, and hopefully they can pull off the last game of the season. But this is going to be a tough test for both teams. Listen, you look at defense, total defense. The Cincinnati Bengals are only giving up 16.9 points a game. That's not going to be easy to move the football against that team.
Mike Cannon.
Only 9 teams have a winning record that's more than 1 game over 500. So there's a huge swath of mediocrity, 4-5, 5-4 teams out there.
I did Craig's show yesterday. They do a show similar to ours. Well, nothing is similar to this, but
there might be a reason.
The coach out there, Bruce Arians, likes the dome closed because it creates this intense crowd noise. So even if it's a sultry 80 out there, chances are it's going to be a closed stadium on Sunday night, right, Craig?
No, I asked him that last night. I saw him. We were out at a Patrick Peterson charity event, and I saw Bruce, and I asked him, I said, so, the roof going to be closed or open on Sunday night? And he goes, I prefer it to be closed, but he said NBC may want it to be open just because it's the desert and it's beautiful out. They may want that. So he said, I may be in a fight this week.
Do you know, Craig, who has the final say? Or, you know, does the owner?
I think the Cardinals do, but NBC may put a lot of pressure on them because of the national coverage.
Got it.
Hey, Craig, how's the guard doing? What's
Mike Iupati.
Iupati, yeah. Are they going to be all right with the offensive line? Because when he went out, it looked like they started having problems up the middle.
They did. No, things fell apart. And here's the thing. Our starting center, Lyle Senline, was iffy every day last week. He ended up playing, but he's still suffering from a shoulder injury. Mike Iupati, thank goodness, is okay. All the tests came back negative, but he has to be cleared through the concussion protocol this week. And so it was a makeshift offensive line after Mike went down. And that's a big concern because, you know, Carson, I mean, he's blown that knee out a couple of times, once in Cincinnati and once here a year ago. So everybody's worried about keeping Carson upright.
Craig, thanks a lot. Craig Fooey, KNXB, Channel 15
I'll see you out
in
there.
Phoenix.
Good. We'll look forward to
affiliate.
seeing you Sunday.
Thank you, Craig.
You got it.
All right, let's do our little 2-minute drill here.
I can't wait.
All right, so Cardinals and Bengals, Sunday night football this coming Sunday night. And we'll start around the horn, and then we'll finish with us.
All right, sounds good.
All right, let's start around the horn. Brian Neese, what are you expecting in this game on Sunday night at 8:30 in Phoenix?
I'm expecting a really great game. I'm a Carson Palmer fan. I didn't jump off the bus when he left town. I like watching the Cardinals win. Not next week. I'm obviously going to be rooting for the Bengals. It's going to be a good game. It really depends on Andy Dalton and our game plan. If we can focus and get through this prime time, I think we can do it. I'm hoping for a victory. I think we got it.
Matt Lucan.
I think the Bengals are going to play very well, and I think they're going to win. I still think they're a really, really good team, and it's just a matter of composure when the lights hit. But I think after this week's performance, that it'll be just the right elixir to get them focused.
You don't seem convinced, though. You look like you've got that Cincinnati look in you right now.
I thought before the season began that they were going to make the playoffs, and that's when they would prove themselves. Making the playoffs is what this team should do, and I think they're going to do that. And now they have to show that they can take the next step. I thought that from before the season started, and 8-0 doesn't change that. They got to prove that they can win that playoff game, or 2, or 3.
Mike Strotman, you're on the sidelines every home game.
Yeah.
You're the guy that controls the pulse of the stadium.
I don't like their chances this week. I don't feel like they got a lot of pressure up the middle, and I think that's what they need to do against the Cardinals if they're going to win. You can't let Palmer just sit back there and throw the ball. And then they got to run. I mean, they got a good secondary in Phoenix, so I don't like their chances this week.
Geno Atkins had 3 tackles last night.
Yeah, they weren't very good.
1 and 2 assists.
The defense was good, actually.
Yeah.
But
Mike Cannon and Libby Duber. Let's start with Libby. What do you think's going on Sunday night? Who wins in Phoenix?
Flat on over.
I have to say that last season I sided with Mike McCoy. This season I'm going to have to go with Mr. Satin and, bring the eternal optimism of 15-1.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Mike Cannon.
If they would have won this game last night against the Texans, I would have said they're going to lose in Arizona. But because they lost, I feel like they're going to come out fired up. They're going to sort of change their approach. They're going to try to get better, and I think they're going to win. But I think it's going to be a really tight game.
I agree with you on that. And what about you, Tanya? You'll be there. You'll be inside that stadium after a day of frolicking in the sun. What do you think?
Should I be honest?
You need to be honest.
All right, here's the honest thing. A huge Bengals fan, right? I think they lose, and I think the world does not stop turning.
No.
I think they go 8-2, and then they refocus. I think they lose this game, and I hate that I feel that way, but I just think they're not.
I think the implication of losing this game, though, is it's another primetime game. It's another spotlight game.
Yeah, but with that, we did Thursday night, and we were fine. I mean, I think that we as the Houday fans, Houday Nation needs to just let it go. Let it go. It's another game. I just think they lose because that's the best team that they're going to face.
I think the problem with the Bengals has nothing to do with prime time.
Nope.
I think they're seeing teams now that are just a different caliber team they've seen in the past. This is a really good Bengals team. It really is.
Good.
When
Awesome
it plays
team.
to its maximum, there may not be a better team in the league, not just the AFC, in the league. But you're going out to the desert. The air is going to be thin. It's going to be hot. It's going to be much hotter than what it is practicing right now. And you're up against a team that may be playing the best football in the NFL right now. I think this is going to be a very difficult game for Cincinnati to win.
On a short turn.
Yes.
Short turn.
On a short term. I don't think they win. I do think they lose this game. I think Arizona wins this game. But then I think what you're going to see is you're going to circle back, and you got games, if I'm not mistaken, 3 1 o'clock starts. You've got the Rams, then you got the Browns, then you got the Steelers, or in that combination. And I think at that point they go to 11-2, and I think this team finishes 11-3.
Forecast
13-3.
I do too.
Forecast is 75 degrees in Phoenix.
At kickoff.
75 at kick?
75.
At
I don't know
kickoff.
about kickoff. That's the high temperature, so that's probably a kickoff.
So maybe more like 70.
Yeah, maybe more like 70.
Yeah. And it's thin. It's just it's a different.
What should I wear then if it's going to be 75?
It is a dry heat.
This is the concern. Who cares about?
I think you got to go out like Friday and buy something.
I do too.
I think, and you know what? I don't think it should be limited to. I'm
now
just going to
she's not as pessimistic about the whole thing.
Yeah, I just think it shouldn't be limited.
Fine.
No, if you can't look the part, you can't be the part.
Mom always said, doesn't matter what you do as long as you look good doing it.
Sizzle trumps steak any day of the week.
Oh, I hope not.
In a battle of style and substance, style always wins. We're the Flying Pigskin. This is our group. We're on every Monday at 1, except when they play on Monday, then we're on Tuesday at 1. That's why we're on today at 1. But tell your friends, tell your neighbors, and like our friend that was on Tanner, if you want to participate,
Tanner was awesome.
We'll put you on. You got something to say. It's the Flying Pigskin. It's only on WCPO.com, and we will see you, win or lose, next Monday at 1 o'clock Eastern.